a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is one stunning picture.
Honorary Lee is full out now, second on the outside. They're coming down the line. 1,000 words has done it.
Hello everybody, Mike Welsch coming to you from a sunny but a little bit chilly Belmont Park with the Daily Racing Form Belmont Park Clocker Report, brought to you by Spendthrift Farm. The final two Belmont Stakes works took place this morning right here at Belmont Park, one on the main track, one on the training track, two very distinctly different styles of final works. We'll just talk about that in a second. Then we're going to look back on what happened here and in Kentucky and Florida over the weekend with our final really in-depth look at the works leading up to Saturday's Belmont Stakes. This morning here, the star of the show was National Treasure. If his performance in the Preakness wasn't enough for you to like him moving forward to the Belmont, his workout this morning probably convinced you that this horse is doing as good as ever right now. A terrific work. Remember, we spoke about his work here last week, a little bit funny orchestrated work with Johnny V taking a bit of a hold of him through the stretch to keep him from doing too much, but that was not the case this morning. National Treasure zipped right along, left the half-mile pole, went to the wire in 47-1, did it easily, and just kept going and going and doing it on his own. I had him 5/8 in 59-2, 3/4 in 11-3, and was up 7 furlongs in 125-3. So no fear for trainer Bob Baffert doing too much, too close to the race. This was a very sharp move for National Treasure. The big question with him, obviously, and as for most of these horses coming into the Belmonts, his ability to stay the 1.5 miles. A little bit earlier over on the training track, Red Route 1 had his final work, and it was a typical Steve Asmussen maintenance half-mile 5 days before the race. He went in 50-1 and then was eased up pretty quickly, purposefully, after the wire, was not allowed to gallop out at all. So two kind of very benign works for Red Route 1, who also exits the Preakness since arriving here at Belmont Park. We're going to look back now at the weekend. Most of the action took place on Saturday. The two big works right here at Belmont also, Forte and stablemate Tapit Trice. And like this morning, they were two very distinctly, differently orchestrated works. For Tapit Trice, who ran in the Derby, ran a little bit disappointing 7th, but did have a race 5 weeks ago in the Derby. He went that easy half-mile in 49-3, went in company and dominated the work all the way. Edge clear at the wire, going super easily, kept wide off the rail, not to do too much, but he galloped out extremely well. I really like the way he was moving through the wire. Everybody loves this horse's stride. They love his breeding. He's been kind of crowned the Belmont winner back in February. He's still going to have to prove it, though, coming off a little bit of, like I said, a disappointing effort in the Derby. But he looked really good on Saturday in this maintenance move. 5/8 in 102-1, galloped out 3/4 in 115. Now Forte, who obviously missed the Derby and is going to go into the Belmont Stakes without a race in 10 weeks, he was asked to do a little bit more, and he responded. His second big work in a row here that I've seen, 5/8 in 59-1. He actually shaded 35 for the opening 3/8, kept going. Again, much better than his stablemate, was in hand to the wire, and then galloped out 112-2 and 7/8 of a mile in 126-2 with Irad Ortiz aboard. Now the other works on Saturday took place in Kentucky, 3 at Churchill Downs and 1 at Keeneland. At Churchill Downs, trainer Brad Cox worked his 3 Belmont hopefuls, starting with Angel of Empire, who finished 3rd as the favorite in the Derby. 5/8 in 59-4, galloped out in 112-3. Daily Racing Form clocker Brandon Stobble was there to clock and report on these works, and his comment was he galloped out in his usual strong manner. So Angel of Empire seems to be maintaining that good form coming out of the Derby and going into the Belmont. Hit Show ran 5th in the Derby, went 5/8 in a slower 101-2, galloped out in 14-2 on Brandon's watch. His comment on him was his gallop out was fine, but he thought he trained better leading up to the Derby, and from what I saw going up to the Derby too, Hit Show was very, very solid going into the Derby, as was Angel of Empire. Now Tapit Shoes, who's going to be the longer price of the 3 Cox entries in here, he went 5/8 in 1 minute and 2, out 13-3. also in company. All three Brad Cox horses worked in company, and the comment from Brandon was worked well and seems to be on the improve. Over at Keeneland, Ray's Kane, who finished 8th in the Kentucky Derby, he went an easy half mile in 50, galloped out in 104, and then pulled up 6 furlongs in 119 and 1. And Donald Harris was there covering the work for Daily Racing Form. He worked in blinkers for the first time. He will run in blinkers also for the first time in the Belmont. Junior Alvarado, who will ride him in the Belmont, was aboard for this work. And Donald's comment, he just called it another leisurely move. And the final work to report came last Friday at Gulfstream Park. It was Il Miracolo, who's going to be the longest price on the board by far in the Belmont. 5/8 in 1 minute and 4/5 with Marco Meneses, his Belmont rider, aboard. Galloped out in 1:14 and 4 per the Gulfstream clockers over what they called a very, very fast track. So the major work is all done now. We're going to wait for the arrivals of the Kentucky horses and Il Miracolo from Florida. They'll all be in here, probably all be on the track by Wednesday. Now we're just going to look to see how they've come out of these works, see if they maintain their good form going into the Belmont. So still lots to watch here over the next several days as we get closer and closer to Belmont Stakes 2023. And keep it right here for the best coverage of this year's Belmont at DRF.com.